The following program deals with sexual situations and contains suggestive language. Parents with young children present are strongly cautioned. Welcome to Time for Hope, a faith-based mental health program. Join Dr. Freda Cruz, licensed professional counselor, and her guests as they discuss real-life issues and offer expert clinical advice and solid biblical application for any and all life situations. Now, here's your host, Dr. Freda Cruz.
Welcome again to Time for Hope, a faith-based mental health program. I'm Dr. Freda Cruz, and I count it a privilege to host this international program whose mission is to spread hope to hurting and sometimes disillusioned people. We are blessed with guest authors, mental health experts, and others who join me in sharing their own personal experiences, insights, and expertise with the goal of helping our viewers with their life situations. Today, I am joined by author, international speaker, and certified life coach, Shannon Ethridge. And we will be discussing today and again next week her book titled The Fallacy, subtitle Exposing the Deeper Meaning Behind Sexual Thoughts. I can assure you that you will want to stay with us. And Shannon, it's great having you again on Time for Hope.
Thank you for having me back. It's a delight to be here with you.
You've come a long way since then, and you're a much busier woman, and I guess you could almost say you've become famous over that book that I didn't know to start with whether I should have you and do that book. And
I'm glad you did.
I'm glad Steve Arterburn helped you get going, as it were, with that thought.
That was like a catapult launch to what I wanted to do with my career, is to help women overcome their sex and love addiction issues, their fantasy issues, their low self-esteem issues. So the Every Woman's Battle series was a great start to that. But I'm delighted that Thomas Nelson has allowed me this opportunity to go even deeper into sexual issues.
Yes, so this time we're talking about sexual fantasies, and you actually do a great job in the book. In fact, I put it aside one time. I said, I can't do that on a Christian television show. And I think you bring it out so clearly, too, in your book, that the churches, I think, feel that way, too. We can't talk about that at church. Well, where in the world else should we talk about it?
Exactly. And this is the one thing that we all have in common, no matter who we are, whether we're male, female, red, yellow, black, or white, no matter what our economic background was. We are all sexual beings, and we have active sexual imaginations. And sometimes people's fantasies are quite bewildering to them, especially when they don't line up with their spiritual values. But there's a psychological reason behind that, and I think that to help people understand that reason can be very healing.
And that's, many do need to be healed in that area. I come from the time when the word pregnancy couldn't be used around children. You know what they used? And they didn't think we knew what they were talking about. That was
in the family
so
way.
Funny, you know. No, the word was PG.
PG.
If somebody was pregnant, they were PG, and we had the laugh. You know, those of us that they thought we didn't know what they were talking about, and it was that way with a lot of things that went on that. And then they had begun, though, at school, giving us some information, some education, I guess, but they wouldn't let boys and girls get it at the same time.
Room, right.
You know. And it was different subjects, of course, but there would be a time boys got to see the video or whatever. I don't even know if we had videos then, but it was on a screen, and,
right.
and they talked about it. And I don't know what the boys, I don't know what they were talking to the boys about, but I know what they were talking to the girls about. And they began to break through with some of it, which was helpful and which I appreciate. But they were even very guarded about it then. But now the schools have gone too far. They've gone, you know. But if they're not going to get sexual education at home and at the church. Do we want them getting it? No, we don't want them getting it where they say at school,
right.
And some schools say, you don't have to endorse your parents' values. You don't have to do
That's
what
dangerous.
your parents say or don't say. It's left up to you to make these decisions.
Well, and this is the generation that they're being raised with the internet, so they're getting their information from cyberspace and from peers, and girls are reading romance novels as early as junior high. So we have to understand that this is a very educated generation coming up behind us, and we have to be more assertive in talking to them about healthy sexual values, because so many of them are becoming sex and love addicted teens before they even hit their 20s. And I know that was true for me back in the 80s. I was very much a sex and love addicted teenager, and I'm so grateful for counselors like you who helped me get my head screwed on straight in my 20s, so I didn't make a much bigger mess of my life in my 30s and 40s.
So you're calling it love, sex addicted, or?
Well, I personally was. I grew up in a home where I was very emotionally disconnected from my father, and so I acted out with promiscuity in my teen years. But even for people who don't act out, they often find that their thoughts gravitate in some directions that they're not real proud of and that are quite scary to them, and they don't feel as if they have anyone to talk to. And so I felt as if it was really important to create a book that didn't just focus on what people actually act out sexually, but what goes on between our two ears sexually, because it does determine the direction that people go. Any type of sexual addiction or any type of acting out, it starts up here in the mind, and taking our thoughts captive and making those obedient to Christ is step number one in not developing that type of addictive relationship.
When I finished with your book and was preparing to do 2 shows on your book, I came up with the conclusion that, first of all, the first thoughts that come, we don't have any control over that. They come.
That's right.
We don't.
Right.
It's a matter
autoerotic.
Yes.
Just out of nowhere.
You've got that named, and it's on here.
Mm-hmm.
So what are we going? But it's what we do with them, and
That's right.
how we feel about them and ourselves for having such thoughts and so forth. But you brought it out so well that when kids, even earlier, I know these days earlier, but for sure when they start through puberty. The thoughts and the desires and maybe even the addictions are going to be there.
Absolutely. And if someone were talking to them about, you're going to have these temptations, you're going to have these thoughts, you're going to experience these fantasies, and you're going to be bewildered by them, and I'm available for you to talk them through, that would be much healthier than just to assume that our children don't have sexual thoughts. But how many parents don't initiate those kind of conversations with their young people? I just think that that's one of the worst things in the world that we can do, is to raise sexual beings, and they are sexual beings from cradle to grave, but to raise them up with no instruction and no education about how to manage a healthy sense of sexuality. Very unfortunate.
We talked a little, we don't want to put the church down. We talked about that. But I'm telling you, a lot of the problem with our young people today begins with the parents.
Yes.
They aren't doing, they're acting out.
Right.
Too many of them are acting out on their sexual fantasies.
Right.
As
they're
it
walking
were.
wounded and trying to medicate their emotional pain with some sort of inappropriate relationship. And yes, the children are seeing that. And my favorite saying about fantasy is that it was from Martin Luther, who said, "You can't keep a bird from flying over your head, but you can keep him from building a nest there." In other words, we can't keep unwelcome sexual thoughts from coming into our brain, but we can refrain from obsessing over them, and we can certainly refrain from acting them out.
You know, my mom, she came from the era where they were not taught, and everything was hush-hush sexually, and so on and so forth. But she managed to get a few things across that stuck and that helped.
Yes.
She had 3 daughters, and one of them was, whatever you do, don't get pregnant. You know, because in that day, you were marked forever.
Yes.
You were.
It was a shameful thing back
yes,
then.
it was a very, and I'm not saying it shouldn't be shameful. Today it's getting where.
But today, girls want to have
They
babies.
want to have
They want to have an
babies.
accessory on their hip that announces to the world that someone chose me and somebody loves me, but they don't understand that babies don't love you.
It's my
You have to love them.
They've gotten so they're either their fiance or their boyfriend.
Yeah, the baby daddy.
Not their husband.
Yeah.
You know, not
We've
their
come
husband.
a long way. We've come a long way in our society. And this type of conversation about sexual fantasy and taking it under control before you act out on it and make a big mess of your life, get pregnant out of wedlock, get a disease, whatever, they can be taken captive. We've got to educate not just young people, but people of all ages, that it is possible to not just avoid acting them out, but to understand where they come from and get a really clear explanation in their minds as to why they struggle with this particular thought.
Well, and you've done a great job in your book, and we're going to go through a lot of what you've got in your book in doing, just reaching your goal, as it were, with it. But where in the world does this fantasy come from that hits a young girl that says, number one, if I get pregnant, this guy'll stick with me? That's a bunch of something. As a general rule, that's not the way to hold a guy.
Right.
And secondly, then to have the responsibility of rearing a child, take on those responsibilities. Where do they get the fantasy that that's where it all is? I have failed to understand that as yet.
Well, they are bartering with their bodies, looking for attention and affection, and settling for sex.
Yes. Well, I guess it is time. They're telling me to go out on break. That's a pretty. We got to pick up and go from there when we come back, and we will be right back. No one is immune to an extramarital affair. This statement probably provokes a gasp from some of you, and especially since I am the one making this assertion. What I and others mean by this statement is that when male and female are thrust together in the right environment, under the right circumstances, and for an extended period of time, a relationship will inevitably begin to develop unless some boundaries are put into place or appropriate action taken. The workplace, business travel, ministry partnerships, sports clubs, and other environments can become natural setups for affairs. Another environment can be couple relationships. Too often, a wife or husband's best friend becomes the other woman or man as a result of spending a lot of time together as a couple, and frequently a crossover fatal attraction begins to develop. Circumstances that make for an affair can include 1. Conflict and unmet needs at home. The temptation to stray will be met with less resistance when our marriage is experiencing conflict, or we feel that our mate is failing to meet our needs. The first step towards unfaithfulness is taken when a mate begins to fantasize about what it would be like to sleep with or be married to a certain other person. Fantasy is the opposite of reality. Fantasizing about the beautiful, sexy, or handsome career partner, a mate's best friend, or other opposite sex relationships can imperceptibly lead one down the primrose path to marital unfaithfulness. And then, secondly, emotional vulnerability can press persons into the miry clay of emotional or sexual adultery. All of us need to be acutely aware of what pushes our emotional and sexual buttons and stay clear of environments and relationships where we can become vulnerable. Emotional affairs are deadly if they never lead to sexual infidelity because they rob a marriage of an intimacy that someone else is providing. And then third, a lack of moral consciousness allows men and women to give in to the allurement of extramarital affairs. Contrary to what many believe, adultery is wrong because the Creator God says it is. He commands in His Word, the Holy Bible, do not commit adultery, and asserts if a man or woman lusts after another who is not their marital partner, they have already committed adultery. Thanks for staying with us on Time for Hope. Our guest for today is Shannon Ethridge, and we're talking about her book, The Fallacy. That's kind of hard to say, Shannon.
It is a tongue twister.
Yes, and then of course, you're saying something about a response to the 50 Shades of Grey phenomenon. And I don't know anything about that. That's one thing.
That's okay. I'm glad that you've been able to avoid the tidal wave that's hit our culture. But what's happened is that over the past year, the popularity of a 3-book fiction trilogy has just taken our country by storm. It's called 50 Shades of Grey by E.L. James, and it's all about bondage, domination, sadism, and masochism. And so it's introducing the concept of some very sick and twisted types of sexual fantasies into our culture. And as a result of this trilogy, well, it sold over 70 million copies, and the sales of whips and chains have skyrocketed. So that's scary to me that people are experimenting with this type of behavior, because I think that it can easily infuse a sense of distrust and suspicion into the marriage bed. I think that if you don't have trust in a marriage relationship, you can't possibly have great sex. And to introduce pain and bondage and domination and this sort of thing, I just don't think that that's what God had in mind when He created healthy sexuality in marriage.
You know, that'll go right along and even help the sex trade. You know, we've done a show on that already. We've already done that, a show on that issue of being a sex slave, so to speak. And that's
basically what this book is all about, but it glamorizes it in such a way that there are lots of women out there who just think that would be the coolest thing, to be dominated like this. But the fantasy comes from a very interesting place, Dr. Freda. Actually, 60% of romance novels have some sort of rape scene involved, because women, for some reason, get swept off their feet by this notion. And the reason is because we're often raised in very conservative homes, and we're told, good girls don't. Good girls don't. We aren't told good girls don't until they get married, and then they do, and they do it often, and they do it well, and they enjoy it. You just, put the wedding band on your finger and knock yourself out. We're only told good girls don't. So the notion of freely enjoying sex of our own accord would mean that we're a bad girl. But if it's being forced upon us, then we're not a bad girl. We're a victim. And so that is why that particular fantasy is particularly appealing to people who were raised in morally conservative environments.
Well, a few generations back, it was difficult for women being told as young girls what you're saying they were told, and carrying it over into the marriage, that you don't even have the freedom. We were not taught that you even have the freedom to be sexual within the marriage.
And isn't that sad?
Yeah,
I'm working on a book right now about
to do with the man.
Yeah, I'm working on a book right now about celebrating freedom in the marriage bed, because yes, God intended this to be a pleasurable gift for both husbands and wives. This is not just a woman's marital duty that she has to do for her husband. This is something that God intended for us to enjoy as well.
But when we're thinking about this bondage and this domination, we certainly don't want to go even in a marriage to the sadism and the masochism. But when we're thinking about that, and that'll be a good book, and you'll have to come back and do it, is what will happen, because I think many women, I think they're probably more freed up now than they ever have been, hopefully.
Maybe too free.
Maybe too
outside
free.
The marriage.
Well, that's anything that's been held captive for a long time.
Right.
If they find a freedom, guess what?
Yes.
They usually go to the other extreme,
Yes.
and we see a lot of that beginning to take place with women.
It's like forcing a beach ball to the bottom of a swimming pool. The minute that you take your hand off of it, it's going to skyrocket, not just to the surface of the water where it belongs, but up into the air. The same thing is true with our sexual desires, that when they've been repressed for a long, long time, then we're in danger of acting out in some scandalous ways. What we need to learn to do is just accept and embrace a healthy sense of sexuality, which means healthy sex in the marriage bed, and then we don't have to worry about acting out in ways that are degrading or can destroy our marriage relationships.
Well, let's go to the Song of Solomon, or Solomon's Song, okay? That is I remember a professor way back in the 50s when my husband was in seminary, wrote a book, My Bed is Green, and he used the Solomon's Song, or the Song of Solomon. And I'm telling you, he was criticized so much, about writing a book about all this sex stuff that's in, but
As
the
if sex is
Lord
bad.
certainly has it in the Bible.
Yes.
And she was, of course, we know it's a picture of Christ and the church as the bride. We know
actually,
that.
it's intended to be a celebration of marital passion.
Yes,
it is very much
exactly.
that.
So she was free, though. That was so interesting.
Yes, it is a very steamy book of the Bible, and rightfully so. And God does intend for it to be kind of a guide for us to see that He intended for us to experience passion and romance and healthy sexuality. And so, yeah, I think that it's unfortunate that we live in a day and age that some people look at sex through such a lens that that no matter what way you mention it, it's dirty, it's filthy, it's bad, it's nasty. No, it's not. It's holy, it's pure. It's the most unequivocally right thing that we can do to embrace our spouse. I believe that sex is an act of worship of the God who gave us this gift. We have to remember that sexuality was given to us before the fall of man. So there is nothing sinful about a husband and wife pleasuring one another and enjoying that bond together. But it's when we take it outside of the marriage bed. It's when we fantasize about things and act them out that we get into real trouble when it comes to our sexuality.
Well, Shannon, do you know of anything that God made or created or structured or designed that Satan hasn't made a mess out of? He imitates everything that God does, but he imitates it from his perspective and from the evil and the wickedness that he can make out of it.
And if you look at the book of Genesis, Satan distorted sexuality 7 different ways just in that book alone. And it's still one of his favorite tactics to use. The book of Genesis. He distorted sexuality 7 different ways. And when you look at the most common sexual fantasies of our day that people are often acting out on, they're very, very similar to those 7 original distortions. So that tells us that Satan doesn't have any new tricks. He's still trying the same stuff over and over again. And the more wise we can be to his tricks, the better we can avoid his tactics to bring us down.
Okay, let's back up. We've gone so fast. Let's back up to what we're talking about, and that is sexual fantasies. And you say that, and you call it the fantasy fallacy. But what is a sexual fantasy?
Well, people often ask, what's the difference between a sexual thought and a sexual fantasy? And we have to realize that they're really kind of one and the same. Basically, fantasies are a progression of sexual thoughts that meet some sort of psychological need. So the more that we can understand what that psychological need is, the better we can keep that fantasy under control.
And you mentioned a while back about some fantasies of women, and we're going to delve into the deeper meanings of our fantasies, so to speak. relates to their father, their relationship with their father. Well, the same is true of men.
Yes, sometimes it's a mother issue.
Yes.
There's lots of childhood wounds that will give a really good indicator of why people fantasize the way that they do. Fantasy is not a roadmap to future fulfillment. Fantasy is a roadmap of your rocky past. And so making the connection between what you experienced in childhood and what you're struggling with now inside your head is key.
You know what? You almost sound like a mental health counselor.
I take that as a compliment coming from you.
Of course, and I know you are, but I know you must have had a lot of help with this, because for this all to come out of one brain would be.
Well, I was delighted at how pastors and counselors have both said, why has no one ever taught us this before? That not even in their seminary training, not even in their coursework.
The training, and
this is new ground that we need to till. We need to have these conversations, both inside the church and outside.
Well, it's time for a break. So in fact, it's time for us to go out for this week, believe it or not.
And we'll pick it back up next time?
Of course, beginning next week, we'll pick it up. And in the meantime, I have some things I need to share with our viewers, which is a letter that says, Dear Dr. Freda, I am a 43-year-old single woman who has always desired to be married, and I have always wanted to marry a Christian man that the Lord has for me. I seem to have a problem with boundaries in dating. I am a compliant person, but would rather be a godly person with appropriate boundaries that require responsibility. I need prayer to become the person that God would have me to be. Please pray for me. And then I have a note of appreciation. Dear Dr. Freda, thank you very much for your television program. I watch Time for Hope as often as I can. It's a very informative program and very helpful. I do appreciate all of the viewers of Time for Hope. And I also would ask you at this time, if you haven't shared your prayer request with us, do it, because we will remember it. We will take it to our Heavenly Father. And then if you haven't considered helping us financially, I'm asking you personally to take it up with the Lord and see if He would have you share what He shares with you, with us. And then don't forget, we're picking up next week. We're going to try to pick up where we leave off today, next week, with Shannon, talking about our fantasy fallacies. So I look forward to seeing you then.
A free fact sheet that contains additional information about today's topic is available upon request from our ministry. You can also receive a copy of today's resource for $12 plus $3 shipping and handling. To receive our free fact sheet or our guest book or both, you may call us at 800-669-9133. Write us at Post Office Box 2169, Spartanburg, South Carolina 29304, or visit our website at timeforhope.org. When you call or write, please prayerfully consider a donation to our ministry. Our ministry's mission is to offer hope to discouraged and hurting people. As we continue to give out messages of hope, you can become a member of our team by sending us a financial gift of any amount. When you send your gift to support Time for Hope, you are joining us in offering hope to many viewers who might believe there is no hope for their situation. And you are also enabling us to inform and inspire some viewers to expand our mission as they learn and in turn can minister more effectively to hurting people around them. Until next time, have a great week. And remember, it is time for hope.